Welcome to a video from the digitallifestyle.com. This is the new sound pack for the Korg Multi, Rack and Native. This is the DW-8000 collection inspired by the classic 1985 Korg Synth, the DW-8000, which I have over there. The DW-8000 is a hybrid synth with digital oscillators, classic analog filters and amplifiers and envelopes and everything else. So it's hybrid because only the oscillator part is digital and then it goes through the analog filters and there's a digital delay at the end. So rather than using just a traditional sawtooth triangle wave pulse width, the DW-8000 has 64 single cycle digital waveforms in there, and a little chip in there. I think it's a 256 bit kit. The DW-8000 uses DWGS to create digital waveforms, 16 of them in there. In fact, if you see from the manual here, there are 16 digital waveforms. So we've got the classic sawtooth and things like that, but then we've got things like electric piano, clavier, organ, brass, guitar, violins, bells. So rather than these such traditional analog synth sounds, you're getting these digital sounds going through the really nice analog filter. And that's what makes it such an interesting synth. It can produce classic pads, brass sounds like you would on an analog synth, but it also could produce electric pianos, basses, guitars, and interesting digital hybrid sounds. So this collection is all inspired by the DW-8000. Many of them are recreations of the presets from the DW-8000. Some of them are inspired and have gone sort of beyond what you can do with the DW-8000. There's 70 performances in this collection. We've got 70 programs as well. I'm going to demonstrate these now, and I'll talk about the architecture of the synth as well. So even if you don't want to get this set, you want to have a go at doing it yourself, this guide will hopefully help you with that. 12-string guitar. So what I've used is 2 of the guitar oscillators and pitched them apart, an octave apart, created a 12-string. Here in the editor, you'll see if you go to the oscillator, and you can do it on the synth as well, if you go to digital, and then down here on wavetable, you can select the DW-8000's wavetable. So those ones I showed you earlier on, they're in the multi-poly already. And there you can see it on the screen is the guitar wavetable, which I showed you on the manual. The difference with the multi-poly is you can smoothly transition between wavetables, which the DW-8000 can't do. It steps through them, and you can't step through them programmatically on the DW-8000. You can only do it through the front panel slider for part of your presets. So it gives you more options on the multi-poly. For many of these examples, I've turned the the crossfade width down to 0, so we get the step changes. You'll find in here a template. The template really maps out the architecture of the DW-8000. 2 oscillators, which are the same. A set of envelopes, which I've used the multi-poly templates, a filter using the multi-poly filter, and then some effects. And I've used the DW-8000's digital delay. I've replicated that. Some of them have things like chorus and reverb on. Some of them just don't need that because the preset only has digital delay on it. So that's how I've got the architecture for the synth there. And you can see I've just got them octave apart when you look at the octave section there. All right, let's play some more of them. This one is one of the presets, program 4.3. So if your presets are the same late as mine, you've got DW-8000. If you go to 4.3, you'll hear that, which is a nice classic brass sound. And we've got a similar vein, we've got a 5th synth. But then here you can hear the delay, the digital delay. This one, I'm using the 4 layers of the DW-8000, of the multi-poly, to give me 4 DW-8000s to create a whole sequence. So I'm using the full motion sequence there on the bass. So on the bass layer there, you hear that slap bass. So I recreated the slap bass from the DW-8000 using the bass wavetable, which is digital bass 14. And so I've emulated that 2 oscillators, and then you can hear I've got sort of a kick, a shaker, and the brass sound as well. These individual layers are also in the collection as part of the programs. This is one of the presets called Airport 8000. And in the days when synths had effects on them towards the end of the program range, that's why it's at 7/8. It's the DW-8000 had performed. You have 2 numbers, so you could choose between 1 and 8 for the higher number, and then 1 and 8 for the lower number. So if you wanted patch 7/8, you press 7/8. The highest it goes up to is 8/8. So you got 1 to 18, 21 to 28, and so on. But I like that one because it reminded me of the Tangerine Dream track that they used on Street Wolf. I think it's from the Park album, and it's got that synth sound at the beginning. We've got a couple of bell sound effects, again preset. Now, if you think of an classic analog synth, getting a bell sound like that is not that easy until like the DX7 came along, and then of course everything changes. But so DW-8000 was a bit of a reaction, I think, to the DX7 by Korg, who wanted to say, hey, we've got a digital synth too, which is why they use the digital oscillator. But I think you get the best of both worlds with this, with the filters and a nice bell sound using the bell wavetable, and another one here. Interesting on this one is the DW-8000 has a nice pitch envelope as well as the filter and amp envelope. So I'm using the pitch envelope. You can see I'm using the pitch envelope to recreate the preset. Bend brass. And again, you can really hear that pitch envelope on that. These are a couple of custom pads I created. And that's used a filter, and here is that pad sound layered with the brass sound. I like that lower sort of brass sound that you get on the classic brass sound. Nice traditional Brit synth brass sound using the sawtooth wave. Now we're on to another preset. This is the choir sound that's on there. So yeah, it's no multi-sample digital choir, is it? But it's got that interesting character to it, using a bit of pitch envelope as well, and using one of the wavetables. Let's have a look which one it is. So this one actually using the violin wavetable that I used on here. But again, I'm recreating one of the presets. So to help me with some of these, I actually went and edited the presets and actually had a look at which wavetables the sound designers use. Chorus EP, I actually really like as a nice EP, again a preset on the DW-8000. You notice there's actually no chorus on here. That's because the sound designers didn't have a chorus to play with on the DW-8000. So what they did, they took the 2 oscillators, detuned them apart to get the chorus effect. A clarinet, another preset. I like that. You would use a square wave, say, on an analog synth to do that. here we've got a clarinet wavetable. Crescendo bass. The envelopes of the DW-8000 are slightly different. They've got breakpoints on there. So I couldn't do that with the traditional ADSR envelopes on the multi-poly. So I used 2 envelopes to produce that effect, because we've got loads of envelopes to play with. You can see it here. So you get the initial attack and then the second phase of it coming in. Using breakpoints, you can do that. Using ADSR, simple, just 2 envelopes, combining 2 envelopes. I combined the filter A and the filter B. CX3 organ, another one of the presets, the organ with the added rotary speaker from the multi-poly. Such a good organ sound. Again, it's using an organ wavetable. We've got some basses. These next section are all custom sounds. Nice deep bass sound using 2 sawtooths. Got a delay brass. Using digital delay on the DW-8000 and a double arpeggiator. On this one, you can control the bass layer with the mod control. A nice double pad, so we're doubling up here, single layer. But what I've done, because the multi-poly has got 4 layers, and the DW-8000 has 2 layers, I've used all 4 to create sort of 4 oscillator DW-8000. Yeah, nice sort of warm pad sound. Double sweep, similar technique. Multiple layers in there to give depth. A nice sequence bass sound. This one, dual vice harp. So-called, it's basically a Jan Hammer type, Miami Vice type sequence. But you hear that extra layer kicking in. In fact, we can control that through the mod. Electric grands, so recreating the electric grand on a using the grand, the electric piano wavetable or the piano wavetable. So it doesn't sound like an electric grand really, but you get the idea, and it's a nice synth sound. We've got some drum sounds now, which I've used all the how you would do it on a DW-8000. The difference with this, because we're on a multi-poly, we can sequence it and we can layer it. So we've got mod controls for all these as well. So So we've got a DW-8000 kick, so I'm using the saw or maybe the sine wavetable. Yeah, the sine wavetable on this. We've got a snare using the noise from the DW-8000, some toms, and the hi-hat, all using the motion sequencer. So a nice little trick there to use the motion sequencer to change the release time of the envelope to create the open hi-hat. And then also what I've done is I've broken those down to individual, so you can use your own kick. Which are, so for example, like this tom sound is actually one of the presets. Then we've got some other, an arpeggiator. There is an arpeggiator on the DW-8000, which is why some of these are included. We've got the flute sound. So a nice sort of flute sound there, but something a bit different about it. It's not like an analog synth flute. It's got those digital wavetables. Ghost Pad is a custom sound that I created on the DW-8000, which I've recreated on here. It's just like a pad sound, but with a bit of pitch envelope. One of the presets, the harp. And a harpsichord, because everybody needs a harpsichord. It's one of the presets. So this one on Heavy Distort, I took the concept DW-8000, created lead sound, put it through a bit of distortion. You can add some extra layers in there. You hear the delayed LFO there? Oh, feedback. A bit of fun with that one. I demonstrated this earlier in the air, Prophet 5 in the air tonight style pad, recreated on the DW-8000, which I did on there, and I brought that over. So I do like there's a really nice warm pad. We've got one called Chaos Lead. So this one, the Chaos controls some of the parameters modulation. Of course, you couldn't do anything like on the DW-8000, but you did have the little joystick on there that controls pitch and LFO. LFO mod, so this is a recreation of one of the patches, 6.3, and I tempo synced it. So because on the DW-8000, the LFO isn't tempo synced. Some strings. I do like those. You've used that patch a lot. Miami bass. It's a Hammer type low bass you would use in the Miami Vice stuff. And one called Not Subtle. Bit of motion sequencer going on there. Bit of sort of early 80s percussion on there. OBX brass. So you kind of cating the Oberheim type brass on the DW-8000. Old 6 string is a custom guitar sound. And a pad harp, which is one of the presets. But actually, what I've done with this is I've laid in the pad sound, which wasn't on the preset. Pitch brass. And the PPG plug. So PPG, classic wavetable synth. I thought I'd have a go if you had a DW-8000. Maybe at the time you thought, I love one of those PPG type things, so you would create that type of sound. The Tangerine Dream. Another presets is called Prologue. And a custom wire resonant bass sequence. Of course, you get nice resonance on the DW-8000. Ring mod bell. So this is the bell sound with ring mod added. There's no ring mod on DW-8000, but I thought I'd take the liberty and add it in. And that's sort of bell sound on there. Sample and hold brass. There's no sample and hold on the DW-8000 unless you get the custom firmware, which I talked about it on a podcast. So if you go onto my YouTube channel, look for the TDL Synth Chat playlist of the podcast, you'll see we talked DW-8000 with a guy that's actually creating custom firmware for it, adding sample and hold. So we've got sample and hold on there. Sort of classic resonant sample and hold. Got some sawtooth brass. With a slow running LFO to bring that in and out, and some sequence and strings. A bit of a set of DW-8000s. Which you can control through the mod controls on here. So bringing lots of layers in there, using the techniques that I've already talked about, We've got the distortion guitar. We've got the vice harp. We've got the kick, and we've got the strings. And then I use some key tracking or key zones to create the split effect. So this one is called Synth Lead. If you've got polyafter touch keyboard, that LFO, you can control through there. You've got slap bass, which I do really like. You've heard it through some of the sequences as well. One of the presets. And a solo voice, one of the custom sounds. This one is actually using the alternative wavetables. There's a couple of DW-8000, or there's an alternative DW-8000 wavetable set in there, not from the originals, and I've used those on there to do that one. We've got some classic strings, which is one of the presets. There is velocity on there, the DW-8000 had velocity. It had also a channel after touch. Mine doesn't any longer, but and we've got some basses from the preset. Interesting sounds, some of those. Like I said, those are presets I've copied. Koto. Doesn't sound like the DX7 Koto, but very nice sound in its own right. Tangerine Dream style sequence, which you can bring an extra sawtooth in and control the speed of it like that. Using some ratcheting, which I've got a separate video how I did that. But using the motion sequencer. Just using one layer to do that. I've got the template, which I mentioned earlier on, and a unison lead. For the presets, a vibe. It's a nice sort of bell sound, isn't it? And then a Miami Vice type arpeggiator. With a slow LFO on there. Voice. Again, one of the presets. You hear those pitch envelopes on that. And a whistle. Oh, with delayed LFO on there. And this is a custom using wavetable envelopes. So you can hear there it smoothly transitioning through the envelopes. And I turn the crossfade up so we get a nice smooth transition. That isn't possible on DW-8000. This is DW-8000 Bright EP. So what I thought of this is, what if the next Korg synth was a DW-8000, which had 4 oscillators instead of the 2. So here is a 4 oscillator EP. So yeah, I was just thinking, Korg should have made a 4 oscillator version. Well, now you ain't got that. And here's a hybrid one for a DW-8000. So I'm using 4 oscillators again on this imaginary synth. And you can see I'm morphing through. So I've got some of the envelopes coming on, some of the oscillators coming on one envelope. We've got some morphing going on the table just to get that nice sort of varied sound. Just a big sound because you've got 4 layers on there. So that is the 70 performances that are included in this collection. Many of the, or all of these performances, the individual layers are broken down in the program section, so you can combine them yourself. You can use a template to make your own sounds. You can use the drum sounds to make your own sequences and so on. So I hope you enjoyed this set. So there's 2 versions available. There's a full set of all the performances, programs, effects, everything are all in the set, which is the premium one, which by getting that, you're helping support me do these sound design projects. And there's a free version as well, which I cut down set of a few of the sort of my highlights of this section. Like I said, if you like programming on DW, like programming the multi-poly, this is a great one to do because you can follow my guide and just have a go at creating your own and put yourself in the mindset of that restrictions of the DW-8000 to create these sounds rather than using every sort of feature that's available to you. So I really hope you enjoyed this. If you've want to see me to do some other sound packs, please let me know. I've got some others in the works as well, but I do love getting the comments and finding out what you want me to do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.